February 16th, 2021. Hello friends, my dear young ones. I'm back with you again on this series of 100 questions with my short clips featuring one question at a time. The question that I have chosen today is one of the most important and plaguing questions that we have all our lives, most of our lives. The question is, how do we measure our worth in life? This is a question which I struggle with very much because at one level it should never be a question. Why? Because who knows what is the contract we signed when we took birth in this earthly life? Are we free souls who have come here to just have an experience with the purpose of our own? Or are we here in order to become part of a game of 6 billion or 7 billion people with a set of rules which are decided not often just by us but by mostly many people who are in greater positions of influence over our earthly lives? So if the question why should we even have to measure our worth in life needs to be introspected. It happens because very early on in life we all get programmed to dealing with scarcity. We are taught that anything that is of value is not available to everybody equally. We are taught that anything that is of value must be obtained through great struggle and competitive strife. And it is something that is not going to be available for all. So we get programmed into this situation where we set up a few people who will be more worthy than us because the measures by which we select them are decided on the basis of who has more, who has less. And is that a question for a free spirit, a soul that gets born into this earth? So that's a more spiritual question. But this is the genesis of the reason why we constantly question our self-worth, because we do not know our self-worth in absolute terms. We only learn to measure it in relative terms, relative to what others around us have, relative to the reference group that forms inside our lives. So this is the first thing that we need to realize when we question ourselves. Unfortunately, many of us do not have the maturity in young age to be able to delve that deep into oneself and realize that this artificial measure with what others have and what we have is not going to be helpful in the long run. And I can tell you today that I was like that, and I'm past 60 now, and I now see how futile that attempt to measure yourself by the standards of others was. Because in that process I have lost a big part of my soul, a big part of my originality, because I have tried to conform, and through the conformance I have tried to come to the top of the ladder. But it is not my ladder. It is a ladder which somebody else has set for me. So that is the big realization you must have when you try and measure yourself. Now it comes to the question of what do you measure yourself by? And when I look at this, and I'm not speaking from my own wisdom, but I'm speaking from the learnings that I've had from a number of interesting pieces of work by others. There was this particularly interesting take I would like to recount. That you can measure your life by your career, the progress that you make in your profession, and ipso facto the amount of money that you end up making. So measure of success, the easily most objective and visible measure of success in this world happens to be through your financial attainments and through the trappings that you have through your profession. But how much money is enough becomes then a very key question. If financial measure and professional success seems to be the most important metric for your life, then it is important to also realize that there is never enough. The minute you attain a particular milestone, the next one is set for you within your organization or by your programmed mind. So I remember the time when I used to think when I was 30 that having 10 lakhs of rupees for life savings would be great. People would laugh at me, and I laugh at me too, because at that time it seemed an awful amount of money. But just 10 years later, the whole circumstances changed, opportunities grew, and other people were making a lot of money. So you get into that rat race, and then you want to do, then suddenly 1 crore is not enough. Even 10 crores is not enough. Now, the college that I come from, the IIT, it has spawned so many billionaires. So even if you're worth 100 crores, it means nothing in comparison with the people who run Google or who run Amazon and who are making hundreds of millions of dollars a year. So beyond the point, you will not win this race. Most of us are not going to win this race. So money by itself has never been a sufficient metric. And when you look at the likes of Warren Buffett, who's easily one of the top 10 richest people in this world, he still measures himself by the amount of things or by the number of things that he does not need rather than the number of things that he needs. So he still drives his old car, which is 25 years old. He has a very simple life, which does not reflect or does not depend on the amount of money that he has made for his organization and for his shareholders. The second measure, and this is a measure which is more realistic and it is available to everybody who does not have the first metric, is success in your relationships. How happy are you in your relationships, and how good a social circle have you created around you? So there are many people I've seen who do not have the outward appearances of being rich, but who lead very fulfilling lives. They have good friends, they have a ball of a time with their families, with their friends, and by themselves too. So this is a measure which is more available to us. We have the freedom to pick the relationships that we want to nurture and to enjoy and to invest in them, because it is not a one-way traffic. You have to give a lot to maintain quality relationships. But this is a far more fulfilling measure at all ages. It's something you can have at young age when you're not earning. It's something you can have while you are an earning member. You can also have this measure when you're post your prime, post your economic prime. The third measure, and this I think is where it comes to the more self-actualized states of our life, is the measure of what have you given back? Not what you have achieved, but what you have given back. So what are the 3 or 4 good things that you have contributed, which are not for your own self, but which are more for the community around you, more for the world? Have you given the world something new, irrespective of whether you made money or not? Have you supported a good cause in a very tangible way? Have you invested a lot of your time and energy for a public good that will not bring you recognition directly, but it is something you do because it needs to be done, because it is the right thing to do? So the success that you have against the values that you have formed around humanity, around your relationship with this world, this is the third measure of success. So I feel that we all have the ability to achieve our successes in at least 2 of these 3 metrics. It is only the first metric of how much money you make that we may not always achieve, because it is not entirely within our control. So when you, no matter if you are the top of your class, or if you are surrounded by people who are far wealthier than you, far more talented than you, do not despair. Just first of all, erase everything else from your life. Put yourself in the center of your life. You have to like what you are today. You have to respect yourself as a soul which has come to this world to gain an experience. And then decide that I am not going to do any harm in this world. I have come here to do something good, or if not, to not do any harm. And then I would like to measure myself by A, the quality of the relationships that I build in my life. B, the quality of contributions that I make to a larger good to make this world a better place. And C, I would like to measure myself by the degree of success that others are willing to confer upon me through my professional growth and success. But the third one is not going to be the first measure of my life. If we do this, we are on the course to stay as peaceful and fulfilled human beings, irrespective of whether we make $1 million or $1 billion, or we do not make much money and work in a philanthropic, not-for-profit kind of a setting. But we all have the means to decide and to attain our true worth in life. I hope this helps you. It has helped me a lot in rethinking myself and finding my true purpose in life and not getting into the rat race that I can never win. And many of you, I am sure, would be facing the same struggle that I have faced. God bless you. Take care, my young ones.